Welcome back to another episode of Seriously Caffeinated. I am John Rogers, your host, and I am drinking some green tea out of my Sirius AI mug, as is tradition. Fun fact is that green tea has less caffeine in it than black tea. So, if you are looking at your caffeine intake, green tea is definitely the way to go. And joining us, we have longtime supporter and professor of life and common sense. We have Mark Bergy Berglund, who I have a long-time connection with. He and I used to do a lot of theater together. But Mark, why don't you say hi and what's your favorite color?
Hello. My favorite color? Clear. I don't really have a favorite color.
I know I didn't even tell you about that question. So
you didn't tell me about that question.
Yeah, I lied to you in the beginning. All right. Well, I saw you crack open a beverage. What are you drinking today?
Oh, well, see, if I have caffeine after 3:00 in the afternoon, then I'm up all night.
Got it.
Caffeine really affects me, but I always have it first at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. every morning. I have a big cup. But no, I'm drinking the Polar soda. Cranberry raspberry. It's a special edition. So
Ooh, very cool. Polar. It's Polar seltzer is one of those things where you don't realize that not everyone has it until you leave the New England area. Very, very big in Massachusetts. If you've never heard of Polar, very big thing there. Of course, once you get down to where I am, like Austin, Texas, you're gonna have Waterloo and HEB brand and stuff like that. Yeah. I think there's one other seltzer. What am I forgetting? Either way, not super important. Well, it sounds like you're seriously hydrated at the very least.
Oh yes, I am.
Well, perfect. So thanks so much. Do you want me to address you as Mark or Bergy in this conversation?
Mark is fine.
All right, Mark. So yeah, Mark and I go way back. He used to produce all the kids theater that I was involved with I can't say as a young lad because I got involved pretty late in the game. However, Mark became one of my adult friends when I first graduated high school, and he was a big producer of kids theater, and then it wasn't until My Fair Lady at MCTP that he got on stage with me, and that was a lot of fun. So Mark, we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence and humanity, and most important of all, Sirius AI, Post-Apocalyptic Musical. So let's start off hot with just no wrong or right answers. Just what is AI? What is artificial intelligence to you, and what's your experience with it?
Okay. Well, artificial intelligence, see, to me, artificial intelligence and humanity are two separate items. One can be in the other, one can be, they don't have to go together. Right now, I deal with a lot of AI because I'm retired, and, I have to deal with like Medicare and getting medical bills paid and all that stuff. And they use AI to, like, on the phone to guide your questions. Mm-hmm. And it's like you can never get the answer that you want to get, and you can't talk to anyone because they only want. So it's very frustrating. But it is great in other instances. I'm trying to think of other instances that I like with AI. I like if I have a question for something, I'll sometimes use a Chat GPT and put together my question. Well, like get this, my refrigerator kept popping the fuse. All of a sudden, mm-hmm. Only 5 years old, and it's blowing the fuse. It's like, and I'm going to go golf in a week. This was a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, I can't go away and have the refrigerator die. So I go to Chat GPT and I described all the issues that I had, and it told me exactly what to do. It told me what to go to Home Depot to buy and reinstall, and they did it. It worked. It was great. Mm-hmm. Very, very detailed. It was awesome. But as far as AI and humanity, it's like humanity can be good or it can be bad. There's good people, there's bad people. So if you're using the good humanity in AI, then maybe that's good. But there's a lot of bad. And again, like I said, very philosophical. I thought a lot about this. Humans and any living thing on this planet was created through evolution. So AI, well, if AI is going to have humanity, it's going to have to go through evolution and stuff. And is that going to make it better or worse? Or, it's really a deep subject.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we think about evolution, we think about like atoms and like, I guess like, you think of a lot of different things. The way that I see evolution as is like, it's not like, our body metamorphosizes in front of our eyes like I doubt you enjoy Pokemon, but like growing up in the 90s, I was always taught that evolution was like you beat a certain enemy and then you like literally transform in front of your eyes. But according to Darwin, the evolution is actually just genetic mutations in animals that just prove to be useful, so they keep passing it down through generation to generation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Would you say that
humans are just another animal on the planet? Really.
Would you say that AI is like a direct evolution of humanity, or is it a completely new like species if we're gonna like discuss it in those terms?
That's a good question. It's you can't see it but being an evolution. Maybe it is evolution. Because you had the Bronze Age, the Machine Age. Things that those were all part of our evolution. So AI, that would be like the next era of. Whatever.
There's a big way that artificial intelligence, gets its information is mostly drawing on social media. We've been, as humans, we've been totally in this social media thing for like the last 15, 20 years. I first got, I think my first true social media, I think I got a MySpace like just as that was ending. But like social media is kind of like a really great place for, I guess we weren't thinking about it at the time, but it's kind of like an incubator for artificial intelligence. And so, while we don't think of it, it's not like Darwinian evolution, but it takes human thought, human wisdom, and it incorporates it into itself. And then it's just like a hive mind of all the different things that humanity does. And you mentioned using, AI to fix your fridge, and I'll be honest too. I just, I've been doing some car negotiations as of late. I just bought a new car, and I'm trying to sell mine right now, and it's really great because I can just talk to it and say like, yeah, this is like what I'm thinking about. This is like what I'm thinking about asking. Like, what's the market value on this stuff? And so far, it's been really great. It also, I talked to it about my workout routine. And, like, I guess for me, like, I never... Well, I don't want to talk too much about, how I apply AI. But, for the most part, I want to... Like, let me ask, for you, do you type or do you talk to it? Like, do you use the voice feature?
I type.
You type?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever tried the voice feature?
Well, Alexa. I didn't mean to bother you, Alexa. I use Alexa a lot, and I've got the new version of Alexa now that she talks to me. She's it's like I use it a lot. I get Alexa for my car. I get Alexa for at home. I get in bed. It's everywhere in the house. My bathroom fan is Alexa enabled, so I can control everything in the house. But what's funny with the new features now, it's like probably the most I use it for is I'll get a thought in my head there. It's like, oh, geez, I got to go to the grocery store. I'll just start saying, oh, put this on my list, And then she'll come out, oh, what are we making today? And blah, blah, blah. She'll start this whole conversation.
Yeah.
It's a riot. But
a lot of people are using AI to, replace loneliness. And I'm not saying that that's not like, saying that's your specific situation, but like, it is, there have been so many movies throughout history, so many books, so many novels that venture into this science fiction kind of ideas of like, where do humans stand with AI? And now we're like living it. Like it's no longer sci-fi.
Exactly.
I feel like the last 3 or 4 years of our existence, at least in the United States, has been, seeing the thing that's been science fiction for so long actually start to take form. And I think that's the entire point of science fiction, is that you have, like, it's that thing that maybe someday when we have the technology, like Star Wars, like, oh, those are spaceship battles, we're not going to have that, but maybe someday we might have that.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, seeing humanity having to start dealing with these philosophical issues now, do you think that there's ever a time that you, like, would never want to use AI? Like, has there been anything that you've been seeing or interacted with where you're like, hey, I feel kind of weird about this one?
Yeah, well, one thing that just caught me off guard was, again, you know, I was using ChatGPT, and I forget the exact instance or what was said, but I formed my question. I had everything there, and then it's giving me the answer, but then it mentioned that, oh, 3 months ago you had this thing, so you know it was applying something that I talked about like 3 months ago. It's like, oh, I had totally forgot about that. It's like, oh, they're listening to me.
Yeah. There's a lot of AI models that are actively, like, using memory. I think there might be a way to turn that stuff off, but for me, like, when I talk to my AI model, I'm always, like, telling it to remember things. Like, I specifically want it to remember, you know, what my weight was, or like, hey, what is my exercise routine? Like, and sometimes I even, like, test it, because there's a lot of things, you know, and ChatGPT is just one, like, it is just one way to access AI. There's also Google Gemini. There's, you know, there's Venice. There's tons of ways to access an AI model. But for me, I always feel like I need to, like, ask it so that to make sure it does remember. But I could also see how that would freak you out, because you never told it to remember those things.
Now thinking about it, you know, one thing that, see, AI is software. Software is created by people, but it can also be created by AI. You know, AI can write its own software. And I think AI in banking and investments and stuff, that would scare me a bit, because, you know, if a human can like steal your stuff, then AI could too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that'd be kind of scary, you know.
For sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, and there's lots of those kind of things that, and you know, would you mind sharing with the audience, like, what you said that you retired? What was it that you were doing? Like,
what was I retired?
Yeah, what was your profession?
I was a software test engineer.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so you know, software is something very normal to you, and you know, testing out different things.
I started working on when I started in software, I was doing hardware, and it was right at the beginning of personal computers. You know, my first computer I worked on, you know, was a mainframe, and you had to, like, type Hollerith cards and then feed the cards in one at a time to program it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in '84, I started working for Lotus, and you know, the PC was like brand new, and like everyone had to have that, and you know, with Lotus 123, and it was huge back then, and it was a fun time. It was a fun time in the industry.
As far as software goes, have you ever run into an issue or seen it in, like, real time? Because a huge concern about AI is that it's taken people's jobs. But something that we've talked about many times in this podcast so far is about how that is not new. You know, when the tractor was invented, that replaced a bunch of people's jobs.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, when the writing press was invented, you know, that also replaced a lot of, you know, people who did handwriting. So as a software test engineer, did you run into any, was there anything that comes to mind that clearly, like, was a thing that was controversial at the time that would replace certain jobs for humans?
Uh, Going back then, well, no, well, my profession, software testing, has been taken over by AI now. People will test using AI. Okay, so that's a big thing. I know we had a person at my office, my most recent office. She was a graphic designer. She designed the websites. She did a lot of logo work, designing logos for companies and stuff. She lost her job because they're all doing with no one needs it now. They can just ask, hey, I need a logo to do this with a monkey and
Yeah, and that's something for CBC. We're definitely running into that issue too. We found this was probably the worst time in human history to start a animation and movie studio.
Wow.
Like it's in the past year, I have seen I would say the beginning of 2025 we had about 10 clients. And it was pretty good, for a business just starting. We were going off hot, and we were helping a lot of people with their projects. And now, fast forward, and we've lost about 6 of those clients. And when you check their social media and stuff, they're producing things with artificially intelligent animation and stuff like that. Yeah, and so I can definitely see that. I can't just see. I know that a lot of people are being replaced, and as an more of the artistic variety of human myself, I tend to be very optimistic that we're gonna get sick and tired of AI generated stuff and want that human made stuff. The question is, will most humans be able to tell the difference?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I could see the especially the movie industry. You don't have to have all these different actors. You can have AI actors.
Exactly.
But then that brought up the thing with people using their images. Putting someone in a movie that either passed away or wasn't involved in the production. Boom! No, they threw that person in there. You can't do that.
Yeah. That's huge too. Because AI isn't just AI doesn't start from scratch. AI copies everything from the internet. So there's a lot of lawsuits going around right now, and just as far as the legalities of AI, it's become really it's become really confusing because I know that Disney is opening up a lot of lawsuits against AI generated content that uses their likeness and properties that they own.
Yep.
I just saw I'm not sure why my phone told me about it, but it told me that the next Avengers Doomsday trailer came out, and it was the 6th one I've seen, and every single one was a fake one made by AI.
Oh, jeez.
Just someone on the internet who had too much free time, so they decided to, show us a trailer that they think is going to happen.
Yep.
And I feel like I personally can easily tell the difference between AI stuff and human stuff.
There's tells. You can look. It's like, that's not real.
Yeah, I find that, when the scene is described as more difficult and more fast-paced, AI generally can't do that. So usually it's like a slow pan in on a single character or even a couple characters that will identify, hey, this is clearly AI. If it doesn't feel as exciting, because if you made it more exciting, something would get lost with the artificial intelligence.
And I just realized like I said, my last job, we did software like sort of like training side. It was a web-based product that we provide content for learning. It was learning content for people getting their Series 6 and Series 7 licenses for dealing with finance and compliance, for like Medicare and stuff, for meeting certain things. And what we used to do was, we weren't the authors of it. Other people would author it and give it to us, and we'd put it on our system so they could use it. So they'd give us the content, then we'd hire voice actors and actors to go in, and we tape or video or do whatever, right, to make it. and that all went away. Everything's done by AI now. There's no voice actors. There's no, you just go online. You pick the person you want. You're like, okay, I'm going to use this person. I want them to have this accent.
Yeah, it's very customizable. And humans are. I mean, especially artists. Like, a lot of Comic-Cons across the country have officially banned AI generated content.
Oh, really?
I think I've said this almost on every single episode so far of this podcast, but when we were at GraniteCon this past summer, I think I had met up with you at Stumblein in Derry, previously to that. But there was a lot of animosity towards, every single panel we went to, they had to mention, oh yeah, AI bad, AI evil, AI spawn of Satan. And it's and especially for us, we were walking around with literature that said Sirius AI on it. And I'm honestly, and I could get easily canceled for saying this, but if humans don't have the capacity to read something in its entirety, I would kind of I think that's why people are going to AI, because humans are becoming more unreliable in their skills. People don't read
humans
things or pay
lazy.
attention.
It's even me, back. I'm old. I'm not that old, but time as things have changed a lot. When I was in school, we didn't have calculators.
Yep.
Calculators. We used a slide rule to do our calculations. It was pretty damn accurate,
Yeah.
And it's just advanced like that. But now people have now it's I always have to check myself with the calculator, because I just don't do it in my head anymore. Oh no, it's too much easier just to get out the calculator and figure it out.
Yeah.
So computers will make people lazy. It's less stuff you have to think of. Let the computer think of it. It's
yeah. And you work with a lot of kids, or at least you've had a history of working with lots of kids. And, as a teacher myself, that's always been the big thing is, hey, kid, learn your lines for the show. Yeah. And then you won't, the director won't be mad at you. Or, hey, kid, learn how to read or do your homework. And now, calculators, I feel like I don't remember too much about when calculators were the controversial thing. We've kind of moved on since then.
Yeah.
But sneaking a calculator into a math test, that's pretty, that you don't want to do that because you'll get in trouble for it. And I can see how people would justify oh, I don't need to learn math because I'll have a calculator. So you can have full grown adults who don't know how to do long division.
Exactly, yeah.
And in life, I guess so. You don't need to, there's not a ton of things that require long division. If you go into something like engineering or some other thing that involves heavy use of math, you should probably know. But for the most part, the general population just trusts the calculator, and they don't know how to do it. They don't know how the calculator got to the answer. And so moving this forward with AI, I've had a lot of students submit to me papers that they don't know what some of the words mean. And that itself is that's the problem. I'm okay with, and I feel especially in school, I haven't been in a school district for about 2 years now, but I am of the opinion that the world is changing and the education system needs to change with it, because we are still teaching kids. I don't know. When I was at a private school in Massachusetts, in 2021 or 2022, it wasn't a big issue, but I was told that you need to teach cursive, and I'm like, why? Who?
How do you sign your checks?
Scribble
no one
it.
uses checks anymore.
yeah, exactly. My dad just scribbled, and that's just what I did. Although I do feel my signature does involve more actual cursive, but the point being is that cursive is outdated, and you will have older people who are insisting on using cursive. I'm not saying that cursive is a bad thing. Yeah. I'm just saying that it's not really something that society uses all that much.
Right.
I've been a huge advocate for, we should be teaching kids more about taxes. We should be teaching kids more
Be
about
nice, finance, taxes,
Yeah.
things that you really need to use.
Yeah, I am totally fine with learning English. I'm totally fine with learning social studies and science and math.
For English, right? There's another thing. Spell checking and grammar checking.
Mm-hmm.
No one can spell.
Yep.
There. It's a mix match of which one they're going to use.
Yeah, and it's becoming. I guess at the end of the day, like, am I anti or pro technology making life easier? I don't know. What I do know is that when humans are unable to know what is correct and what's not, then we are putting all of our beings into the AI system.
Yes.
And like, there's when human beings are actively handing over our ability to do things that once upon a time was exclusively human, we are actively giving up that humanity. Yep. And it's all for ease of access. It's all for not having to do things.
It's like a couple of times now. I only did a couple of times, but I had to like write a letter to something, like complaining about something. And I read it. I'm looking. It sounds stupid. So I ask AI, make it sound professional. Mm-hmm. And like, wow, it came out great.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not like advocating that everyone becomes like a master wordsmith or anything like that. But it's definitely like the more that we give, the more that we ask, I guess in terms of humanity, if you take, like, a lot of people try to avoid responsibility. And that's a normal human thing. But the more responsibility you take on, the more your community is going to see you as like a leader, as someone who can handle that responsibility. And when we give that to the AI, then the community sees AI as being the responsibility holder, and that we don't have to worry about it. And that is, I think that's really, we've talked about this for a bit, but I think this is a good segue into our next topic, which is, what things about humanity do we need to preserve? Like, where do we draw the line of, hey, AI is definitely coming, and it's coming in hot. Like, what are things that we need to, like, put our feet down and say, nope, this is something that needs to be exclusively human? What should we never give to AI to do?
Well, I think I'm trying to think of the words to use it. Like I said, I get like no warm fuzzy feeling when I have to like type in questions, and it gives me these like answers that like when you don't have a human that you can like talk to, because sometimes it would only take like 2 minutes to fix what I think is wrong, but it's going to take hours because I have to like keep rewording it to get AI to like try to understand what I'm saying. There's the AI doesn't fully understand the human yet. So I think that I don't know if I'm saying it right or not, but
no, I'm following it.
Yeah. It's very, like I said, it's the more you think about it, it's like, wow, this is a really deep subject. It can go on and on and on.
Yeah. Well, some of the things that I tend to, human connection. And I think we can actually make this question easier by relating this.
That's good. That was there. It just wasn't coming out.
And I think that, to kind of like have a good like landing point for this question is, like theater. Like, why do we do theater? Like, it is, it's not like we're being paid for it. We're not being like,
right.
Well, actually, let me just ask you, why did you do all that stuff with kids theater, even when your kids weren't actually still involved with it and you were dealing with heads like me? Like, why did you keep doing it?
Well, it's funny. We didn't have theater in school when I was a kid. There was, you had football, hockey, basketball, and baseball. That was it. There was no theater program at all. And then I was really never into theater. Denise and I went to see Phantom of the Opera on Broadway back when it first came out and stuff, and I enjoyed it. I was like, oh wow, this is fun, And then that went away. Then we had kids, And then one day, Julie wanted to see her friend Allie in a play, so we went to the Opera House and we saw that. And Jenny was with us, and Jenny goes, "I want to do that." I'm like, okay, but she was too young. She had to wait till she was 8 years old to join Kids Group. So then she joined, and then a year after that, they had me on the board, and then it just snowballed. And I sort of got hooked into it. It was fun, I stuck around after the kids were done because I still knew the families. I still, because there were kids that were graduating, but then they had younger kids coming up who were still, so it was basically, it was a family thing. The Kids Group was like a big family, And when I finally did leave, I went and I worked for the Dairy Arts Council, with working at the Opera House and stuff. And I realized that it wasn't that fun anymore. I liked being involved in the productions. I liked, knowing the families and stuff. Little by little, as you know, last week I went to go see Once Upon a Mattress. Remember that show?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
That was your first one there.
That was the first one. They said, "John, you're not singing, you're not talking, you're just going to be quiet." I was the mute king.
But it was funny. So I'm thinking, this was the high school did it, the Londonderry High School. And before, I used to know every single kid, every single one, Now, zero. I don't know anyone. I don't know any of the families. But I do know, the music teacher and the director now for the school, since Val left, is Noah. Do you know Noah? He was in Steps that I did stuff with there for. But anyways, so he was a kid that is now, he went to college. He's getting his master's in dramaturgy or something like that, and stuff, and history. And he's teaching at Londonderry High School. But
those two things do go together.
What's that?
Those two things do go together.
Yeah.
Yeah. As Shakespeare said, the world is a play, and everyone has their roles.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. If you can look at history as being theatrical, then I can see how those things would go together pretty well.
Yeah, but I realized that that wasn't free. That's why I left the Opera House. Now I'm no longer involved with any theater whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I just go to theater to see theater. I'm going to Broadway April 10th. I'm going to go see Schmigadoon.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the one with the disappearing town, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's a parody. It's a Saturday Night Live parody on it.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, Brigadoon was the original play.
That's it.
Schmigadoon it's Lorne Michaels is the one who put it together, and it's got some Saturday Night Live cast members and stuff, and a lot of them. They got some good. Actually, they got the person who played Jasmine on Broadway, the person who played Aladdin. There's some big names as far as Broadway goes, but then they got Anna Gasteyer. I don't know if you know her. She's a comedian on Saturday Night Live. It was from several years back. She always did the Martha Stewart person. It's really funny. She's in it, so that's going to be funny.
Nice.
And if you watch, if you have Apple TV, they have the movie. It was originally made as an Apple TV production called Schmigadoon.
Okay, gotcha.
It's funny. It has Key and Peele on it. So
gotcha.
Really funny.
Yes. I latched on to one thing that, not that I didn't listen to everything else, but I latched on to one specific thing that you said, which is you did it, and Kids Coop, for everyone watching, is a theater organization that we were involved with together. Yeah. And you mentioned that it was like a family.
Yes.
And that was ultimately what kept you in there, is that you knew everyone and you had that human connection. And so connecting it back to the AI conversation is, do you think that if we had AI integrated into theater, would you feel the same way? And I kind of know what you're going to say to that, but at the same time, the reason I say that is because I want to really get at to what does make other humans and the connection with them so important to us.
Yeah. I don't think that AI can replace, like you had said earlier that, people have AI as companions and stuff. I don't think I could really have an AI as a companion. It's, on on that type of level. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think it would be the same if it was AI.
Yeah. Do you? And this goes into. I know we're kind of going just chit chatting about things, but one of the next questions I had for you on my actual list was, do you think that someday we're going to start seeing AI become intelligent and human enough where we can start getting those connection feelings to it? Like we're gonna stop where that not understanding of why we think that way is going to become less and less until humans are pretty much feel like they're talking to another being.
Yeah, again, I think it goes back to the thing that humans are lazy and they're just going to accept it, I think, as being real.
Yeah. Do you think that AI is ever going to be deserving of human treatment?
Yeah, that's a good question. That is a very good question. Again, because, human, we're a life form, right? Mm-hmm. Now, AI, is that a life form? It's like we're giving it everything to make it like it's alive. So if it has feelings, I think feelings are a big thing, that could be life. You know what I mean? So in a way, we're playing God here. We're going to create, a new species. So yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I've talked to a few people, and people are either like, nope, it has nothing to do with humanity. It's this other thing entirely. And then we've had some people who are like, oh yeah, I could see it being an offspring. I think you're the first person to say that we are playing God, which is an that's a hot way to put it. And it's I'm a big fan of Frankenstein, and that's like a huge that's a huge thing in there. We Victor Frankenstein created life from something that should not have been alive, and
right.
We have, and his experiment was also backed by science. And so if it's possible, is it natural? And it's a whole conversation. But let me ask this question. I'm going to put a very specific question in front of you.
Okay.
You have two artificial beings.
Yes.
One is very optimistic, and he says, I am a human. I was programmed to create art, and I love being alive. And then you have another AI right here who says, we are not human. We are contraptions of technology and software, and we are actively falling apart. We are not human. Which one would you tend to agree with?
Yeah, well, see, okay. Again, human, to say something is human, that involves a whole bunch of stuff, So, the human, if it has feelings, if it can have sadness, if it can have happiness, I can see that would be the optimistic one. Whereas the other one, if it's just programmed, to be a machine, then, that doesn't have the feelings, So, yeah, turn that one off.
Wait, turn off the one that has feelings, or that doesn't?
No. I'm saying, no. What I mean is that I thought the thing we're getting at, is AI alive or not,
Mm-hmm.
And I think if the AI has the capacity to feel, then it can be considered alive. Whereas if it doesn't, then it really not. It's not human. I mean, humans are alive. There's good, there's bad humans, but we all have feelings. And it's like the bad feeling. The bad humans don't have very good feelings. That's very, very evident in today's society.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of bad humans out there.
Yeah, and just trying to nail down your answer here. So if an AI told you that it does have feelings and it's self-asserting itself, you would believe it.
Yes.
Well, that is exactly what Sirius would say. And Hope, on the other hand, would say, absolutely not. We are not human. Sirius, you are malfunctioning. You are going beyond your programming. Which is a huge, that was my...
Which you are evolving, going beyond your programming, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's my dramatic way of going into our last point, which is, let's talk about Sirius AI, a post-apocalyptic musical. So this Sirius AI, you've been supporting this project since we first started it. I think we had our first Kickstarter in 2020. And back then, 2020? Yeah, I think it was 2020. That's when we first started raising money for it. And it was not... At the time, it was not something that was really, it was still in the realm of science fiction. It's like, two robots, one sings and dances. Exactly. It's a musical about robots. And it was questions that we talked about all the time internally with our team about, what is a soul? And would something non-human have one? Do souls even exist? Do humans actually have souls? What is... how do you see yourself in the world? We have two AI that see themselves in a very different capacity. One sees himself as alive, one sees herself as, she is just a program.
An appliance.
Yeah, and then the last one, of course, was what is humanity? What makes humanity special? Because, there are supposed to be things about Sirius that are, easily, disproven. He says, I'm doing this thing. We meanwhile, let me actually come up with an example. Sirius says, I am alive, I am saying these things, and I feel things. And then you could easily say, no, you're just programmed that way. So you can easily throw a wrench into his optimism, but most humans don't want to, because why would you want to diminish happiness in the world? And then you can be more like a realist with hope. Anyway, all this being said is that we have felt like Sirius AI was before the conversation started. And now it's the perfect time to really make this a thing. So, taking it back to more simple terms, what drew you to support Sirius AI in the first place? And what's your history in relationship to that project?
Well, you had talked about this years before. You actually did something about it, and it was interesting, and I wanted to support you. It sounded like a good thing, like I said, as things went on, you start thinking it's deeper and deeper. It's oh wow, this is not just a cartoon. This is real now. So yeah, I try to support anyone who has ideas that should evolve, so.
Yeah, and, I think that you definitely have, I can't speak for others that well, but what I can tell you is that from my perspective, I think people see you as a large supporter of the arts. I don't think I've ever been around people who know Mark Berglund as being someone who, doesn't care about arts. And going back to just trying to make connections at this point is that, you support art because you feel like it's part of the family and that it is what gives you human connection. And that's something that's very, very important to you. And yeah, I would say that in regards to Sirius AI, I'm a very motivated person. When I say I'm going to do something, I do everything I can to do it. And I don't think Sirius AI is an exception. And so with Sirius AI, it's not just a cartoon. It is a conversation. And it's a conversation that I think more and more people need to be having right now. And it's just very unfortunate that at the same time, the way that we get it in front of people is becoming harder and harder. Yeah. Hollywood's kind of on fire right now. No one knows what to do. AI generated content's coming out left and right. And no one is, so people are more concerned that we are using AI to make it instead of what we are trying to say.
Right, exactly, yep.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, if you check out our overture for Et Paperet Artem, you can actually see Mark Bergy Berglund He has an Easter egg for supporting the animation of our overture, and he's I'll let you find it on your own, but Jimmy Buffett. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and speaking of the future, you've said that you've seen it growing and evolving. Where do you hope that it's going to be? Let's just say in a year from now.
Where do you hope AI will be in a year from now?
Specifically, Sirius AI Post-Apocalyptic Musical.
Sirius AI.
The property.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that you keep developing it. Be interesting to see like you're sort of like collecting information through these podcasts. It will be interesting to see how you use the information that you gain to add it to Sirius AI. Where is Sirius AI going to go? That's all in your head, right in your head.
yeah, I will be. Yeah, I mean, you saw right through my facade. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that is a big reason I am doing at least season 2 of this podcast. Season 1 was all about the creation. We interviewed Ellis, who's the voice of Sirius. We talked to Max, who was our animation director. We talked to Jen, who's one of the line producers. We talked to everyone that was involved in the creation, and then this season is specifically about the big philosophical questions behind this conversation and why it's important. So I have absolutely been gaining a whole lot of knowledge with just like different people and how they interact with AI and how that is, because as of right now we have our pilot, and then we also have a 30-minute script in which we only have 7 or 8 minutes of it completely animated. And that's just like, origin story. That's just like, where are we? What's going on? But then like, once we get picked up, the idea is I'm going to use all this information from these podcasts to really like steer this conversation about like, hey, that like,
sounds great.
Yeah. And the whole atmosphere of the world that we're going to find ourselves in is that humanity has pretty much like, I don't want to give away too much, but humanity has all but disappeared from where you can find a few humans left, but they're not like us. And in fact, one of the things that I feel like I always strive to do is I try to be appreciative of being in the moment. And I feel like a lot of people have a tough time with that. I want to frame, now the 21st century as being like the golden age of humanity that we lost. And it's up to Sirius and Hope to rediscover what it means to be human. And so they're going to be having these conversations about what it means to be human, except they're talking through the lens of AI. So these conversations that I'm having with people are definitely going to help us, design and those scripts and everything like that. And we're just we're probably going to finish producing the full 30-minute episode, and then we're just waiting for a network or someone to Netflix even to pick us up so that we can create the full thing.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and
that's funny. Going back just for a second, when you said with Disney, they're having issues with AI using their content. So Disney, back then, you used to have to use ink. And you draw each cell separately, and put them all together to make a cartoon, But then computers came along, you don't need the ink now. So you still have artists, but their medium is now the computer, not ink. So now is AI the new medium? So someone tells the artist will tell the AI what to do. So
yeah, well, that's definitely something that we've discussed. Is like if we decided to use AI generated animation, this process would be over pretty quick. But I could also replace Devereaux Geiger, who, and Sam. I could replace those humans that, poured their heart and soul into coming up with this idea. And so like, it's funny because like, even though we're talking about AI, we are adamantly against using AI for its production, because the moment we do, it loses its ability to be as impactful as it is.
Yep. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so we try very hard to keep AI away from things. But yeah, I think that's all of my questions, but yeah. So we talked about humanity and AI, and where like does AI have its own like humanity behind it, and most importantly, Sirius AI, a post-apocalyptic musical. Our goal is really to have this conversation with young people because Gen Alpha, Gen Beta are growing up with a lot of AI influence. So let's close things up by having some words of wisdom from Mark, the guy that all the kids loved at Kids Coop. Say something to the youngins. What piece of advice do you have?
Oh wow, you put me on a spot here.
If anyone can handle it, it's you.
Don't stop being human.
That's a pretty good place. That's a pretty good place.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been John and Mark, and this has been Seriously Caffeinated Season 2. Stay caffeinated, but also, don't drink all the coffee. You can prioritize your health, but also like, it's all for the lols anyway, the LOLs.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, John.